Hello everyone, this is San and welcome to another episode of Deep Analysis, in which I analyze a particular card with the context of the limited format for the set where it originates. I will go through the card's general power, its pick order, and the deck it belongs in. I'll also cover some niche interactions with other cards from the set if there's any. This time, we are looking at this blue common, Sahagin. Sahagin is 1 and a blue for a 1/3 Merfolk warrior with the ability, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if 4 or more mana was spent to cast it, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and it cannot be blocked by this turn. On paper, this seems like another version of a card we've seen before, which is Razzle Dazzler in Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Razzle Dazzler wasn't a good card, so it seems Sahagin may follow its footsteps. However, context is really important. In Thunder Junction, double casting wasn't supported that well, and in late game, it's very hard to cast 2 spells where you barely even have just 1 spell in hand and have to top deck more spells to cast. Meanwhile, in Final Fantasy Limited, there are tons of non-creature spells that can trigger Sahagin. First, we have those 4+ mana value spells like Warrior's Sword and Retrieve the Esper. Second, notice how Sahagin's ability says at least 4 mana was spent instead of at least 4 mana value. This means the tiered spells like Thunder Magic and Ice Magic, when spent enough mana on 2nd tier onwards, they can also trigger Sahagin's ability. Similarly, non-creature spells with flashback that cost 4 or more, like Dreams of Laguna and Resentful Revelation, will also work here. Putting it all together, Sahagin is much better supported in Final Fantasy Limited, unlike its unloved counterparts in Thunder Junction. Imagine if you're playing a blue deck, on turn 2, you play the Sahagin, it can start blocking a lot of the 2-drops right away against the aggro decks. On turn 4, you start casting something like Retrieve the Esper, which is a 4 mana non-creature spell that triggers Sahagin, or you hold up your 4 mana and cast at X=3 Syncopates or Tier 2 Ice Magic in response to your opponents doing something. In both scenarios, Sahagin gets a free counter while you are doing something to the board. A strong early game play pattern indeed. In the late game, Sahagin can get more counters and become an unblockable threat by casting 4 or more cost non-creature spells, and the flashback spells from this set makes it much easier to do so. In my own experience, I've won a couple games with the opponents simply cannot block a Sahagin with couple counters attacking each turn, showing how well it scales into the late game. Alright, I've talked a lot about Sahagins already, so here's my final verdict on Sahagin from Final Fantasy set. Sahagin gets a C+. It can block into the early game and scale super well into the late game. Its ability is super easy to trigger as long as you have enough 4+ cost non-creature spells, which shouldn't be hard with the abundance of creature in the non-creature code, tiered spells, and flashback spells. Though, if your deck doesn't have a lot of the non-creature spells that cost 4 or more, Sahagin might not be a good card in your deck. The next question is, when should we pick Sahagin in draft? Sahagin is a good card, but not pack 1 pick 1 level of good. It still falls short comparing to premium uncommons like Summon Fenrir, or premium common removal spells like Sephiroth's Intervention. Just like most of the good cards in common, in late pack 1, starting from pick 6 or later, if Sahagin is still in some of the packs, this can be a good signal of blue being open. If you already make up your mind to be in blue, Sahagin becomes a much higher priority if you are already holding a lot of the good 4-cost non-creature spells. The opposite is also true, as you want to prioritize good 4+ cost non-creature spells if you're holding 2 or more Sahagins already. As for the deck building, Sahagin reads like a blue-red card since blue-red is the cast 4+ cost non-creature archetype in this set. In reality, Sahagin can go into any deck that plays blue as long as there are enough ways to trigger it. For example, white has White's Aura Sight and black has Sephiroth's Intervention. Both are top commons in their colors and can trigger Sahagin. If I have to come up with a number right now, I would say 7 non-creature spells that cost 4 or more is a healthy number for Sahagin to be good in your deck. The more the merrier, of course. And finally, I want to share some niche interactions involving Sahagin. Sahagin is a merfolk, which means it is immune to the bounce from Summon Leviathan, and triggers the card draw from Leviathan's Chapter 2 and 3. Sahagin is also a warrior, which means it triggers Cloud Strife, aka Najila the Blade Blossom's trigger, to make more warriors. These two interactions really comes up, especially for the second one because it's hard to get a mythic from the bonus sheet. But it's always good to know and be prepared. That's it for my deep analysis on Sahagin from Final Fantasy set. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.